kind of started is right around 1900. The reason why, as you can see, these two maps here, obviously California, and then this circle area right here is a little bit blown up. Obviously downtown Los Angeles. Everybody, some of you maybe have been to LAX, the airport, yeah? And you can kind of get an idea of kind of the quick drawing I did, including this whale. Obviously, Catalina Island. If you know, for those that are into jazz, you might know the song Avalon. It's written after this town right here in Catalina Island, which Benny Goodman discovered Lionel Hampton here. Anyways, 1900. Los Angeles actually had a public transportation system. And basically, it was electric, and in 1900, what we call the Pacific Electric Company. The Pacific Electric was a public transportation system, and from downtown Los Angeles, it came straight down here to this little area right here. 1902, it came down here. 1904 to Huntington Beach Pier. This is Orange County here. My spelling is very bad. Huntington Beach. And finally, all the way to the Balboa Peninsula here. Every 2 years, they took it farther and farther. As well, it came out straight west over here to Venice Beach. So we have a general public transportation system taking us to the beach cities. The popular thing to do back at that time was to jump on the trolley and take it down to wherever the beaches were. Every July 4th is when they opened each one of these places as it traveled down. And so there was major ballrooms in each one of these locations every time they extended it. Not to mention, we had what we call piers. We had Venice Pier, Santa Monica Pier, we had many piers, including here in Redondo Beach, we had what's called the Horseshoe Pier. Each pier that stuck out had a ballroom either at the base of it, at the beach, or out on the pier. And basically, what we have here, as you can tell, way down here, is where the Rendezvous Ballroom was, which is where, obviously, the Balboa is from. The Rendezvous Ballroom, however, did not open up until the late 20s. And it was made because of the overcrowdedness. Everybody would come down here, and it would be so crowded at each one of these locations that they would actually build and make it so it was more publicly accessible as well as comfortable for a lot of dancers. The distance here, between here and here, actually took over an hour to get to in the public transportation. It's a very long distance. Today, we can probably drive from here to here with no traffic, closer to 40 minutes or so. Well, if you've been to Los Angeles in this area, with traffic, maybe 3 or 4 hours. but you understand that this is very far away from this area, even though today it is, with modern cars and so forth, it's a little more accessible. This line right here is Orange County, and this is Los Angeles County. At this time, all during the early part of the century, when they first opened the public transportation, many of you have heard of the Balboa Pavilion. The Balboa Pavilion was a building that was over on this side of the peninsula. This is nothing more than maybe, it's a very short walk if you want to walk from one side of the peninsula to the other. The pavilion was the building built for the public, for the red car to go into, and then you would exit, of course, and get off the train. The pavilion was the building made at that time. So it's a very, very old building, and it's still used today occasionally for dances. At the time, all during the teens and early 20s, of course, there was no such thing as jitterbug or lindy hop or anything of the sort. It was primarily one-step foxtrot. It's very, very, I guess you could say, society dances. And because of the overpopularity of the pavilion, it could not hold very many people. In the late 20s, they decided to build the Rendezvous Ballroom. to hold more dancers. So like all of these other piers, what we have is they built a pier, a ballroom at the base of the pier. Right off, literally, right next to the sand, we had the Rendezvous Ballroom. So there's the pier, it's still there today. And now, today, there's nothing there except for a stone marker to tell you where the Rendezvous Ballroom is. We have this whole area. During the 20s, as well, was the largest migration in North America, was during the 20s of people moving out west to Southern California area. During the 1920s was the largest migration in North American history. And what we had was simply an overcrowded situation of people taking this public transportation here, as well as people moving out here, which is all, it's famous for its orange groves. That's why it's called Orange County. And so we had so many people moving to this area, as well as all the tourists coming from Los Angeles as well, to overcrowd the Rendezvous Ballroom. So what we had was a situation where the dancers were so crowded that they really could not move. And the ballroom came up with rules. And one rule was no breaking from your partner, and it became a point to where no traveling as well, so they could fit more people in the ballroom. This is before fire codes. Before we had laws for fire safety for people. We can even say this is the reason why we have fire safety. At that time, we had ballrooms in Chicago, as well as a couple other ballrooms around America that actually did burn down and kill a lot of people. So that was this is how dance became about the shuffle. We basically had people doing a foxtrot, which we call, or a two-step, coming to a standstill in the ballroom, doing the same steps, and they just came to a stop to where all they could do was stand and just, this is a nice floor, by the way. And it is said that you could fit 5,000 people in the Rendezvous Ballroom. Yeah, it's a lot of people. And so that's what we really have as far as the balboa is concerned. At first, it was just a basic step that you did. Everybody did, as a matter of fact. And there was no name for it. It was just doing the step that you always would do, but you did it in a way because of the fact that it was so crowded, you had no choice but to dance in one spot. The owner of the Rendezvous Ballroom was actually not even a balboa dancer. He was what's called a slicker dancer, which is a type of a traveling dance, like a foxtrot, but you travel, but you slide the whole time. And it was a very popular dance at one point during the 20s and 30s, where you travel around the floor, but you're sliding and with your feet. That was the owner of the Rendezvous. And because of the fact that we had this crowded space, they had signs up that said, no opening, no breaking away. That means you had to dance body to body. You could not even dance out like this. You had to dance in closed position only. Like many of the ballrooms in Los Angeles area, as well as Orange County, Huntington Beach Ballroom, Cinderella Ballroom here, there was ballrooms all over. Unlike the East Coast, for instance, like Harlem. We all know the story about the Lindy Hop and the Savoy being the epicenter for the Lindy Hop, Roseland Ballroom and so forth. We had so many ballrooms built during the 20s and early 30s to meet the needs of this huge migration from the eastern coast of America and the Midwest to Los Angeles area. We had ballrooms everywhere. And the rule was, it was very much about making money, of course. And so they wanted to stick as many people as possible in these ballrooms. And so it was very frowned upon in the beginning if you did anything like a swing type of thing.